This segment is brought to you by Powerade. Pause for power with Powerade. Minute Maid. Real like you're at home. And Dasani. Connect mind and body.
Welcome back to the Sports Max Zone. We start with the NBA. Kyrie Irving, in his third game since returning from suspension, scored a game-high 29 points as the Brooklyn Nets eased to a 112-98 win over the Toronto Raptors at the Scotiabank Arena on Wednesday night. We have the highlights.
Drake in attendance for the Nets and Raptors announcer Jack Armstrong talking to Drake, sporting the Raptors stuffed animal jacket. Great stuff. First quarter, good stuff from Ben Simmons, who takes it right through the lane for the lay-in. Off the Royce O'Neal rebound, Kevin Durant at the other end. Brooklyn by 9 early. Toronto answering in the second. Gary Trent Jr. Elbow jumper good. Thad Young. He's there underneath. That caps a 16-0 Toronto run. Off the steal, OG Anunoby over Durant. Anunoby, 15 points in the game, including the poster. Toronto within 1 at the half. Third quarter. Ben Simmons into the lane. Oh, the no-look kick out to Kyrie Irving for the corner three. The Nets pushing it. Durant finds Kyrie for 3 more. Kyrie absolutely unstoppable in the third quarter. He had 19 points in the third. There's 2 more. And Brooklyn takes an 85-70 lead. Kyrie didn't cool down in the fourth. Pushing it up, stops, buries it. Kyrie Irving, 29 points. Brooklyn goes on the road and beats the Raptors 112-98.
Well, the Nets, they've won 2 of 3 meetings since Kyrie Irving returned from suspension. And speaking post-game, Irving said the way the game is being played is changing rapidly.
The game of basketball is becoming a multidimensional, type of performance out there. Young guys are coming at us older guys every single night, and they're running at a very quick pace. Threes are going up left and right. If you look at Philly's the game against Philly yesterday, I think we shot above 60% or a little bit around 60%, and we held them to lower than 44%. But they had a lot more threes. They had a lot more opportunities on the offensive glass, and they were just creating more momentum. So I think the game is becoming a lot younger, more athletic. Guys are getting to the three-point line. And us as, quote unquote, the guys that 10 plus in this league, we got to keep up and make sure we're playing our type of style of basketball, which is everyone's touching it and everyone has the ability to score when we're being aggressive.
So Lance, a sigh of relief there to be listening to Kyrie Irving, talking about on the court. He says the sport is becoming multidimensional, speaking about players needing to be more athletic and whatnot. Do you agree with him?
Well, it is a fact that the game has changed, and some of the rules have changed as well, because a lot of times when people get into arguments about the different generations of top players, from the Wilt Chamberlains from decades ago through to the Magic Johnsons, then the Michael Jordans and LeBron and now, there is a lot of analysis surrounding how the game was played then as against how it is played now, and the kind of tools that players need to shine now as opposed to 40, 50 years ago in the NBA, because there's a feeling that some of the players who shone in the 60s may have had difficulties in the game as it's played now. But I think Kyrie has a point. And first of all, it's good to see him looking relaxed and putting some numbers on the board, because they need him to shine for the Nets to do well this year.
Right, 29 points. And that brings me to my next question. The Nets, of course, a better team with Kyrie Irving at the helm, because we had Kevin Durant yesterday only picking up 12 points, but he had a lot of steals. I have the numbers here: 10 steals and 11 blocks. So despite KD not putting up the amount of points that we expected, just getting the assistance from Kyrie, the Nets definitely a better team with him at his best.
Yeah, well, Kyrie's Kyrie's quality does suggest that if he is 100% focused mentally and physically, which is sometimes questionable, the Nets are a far better team. And we know that, KD has the acumen as a champion by himself. So if Kyrie is settled and motivated, the Nets are going to be a tough team. Remember, they were blown away in the first round of the playoffs last year by the Celtics. 4-0, they lost in the first round of the playoffs. This Nets team is better than that. And I'm hoping for the Nets fans that things work out with Kyrie and the Nets this year to go deeper in the championship.
Now, another question. Do you think we're reading too much into the Nets win because they were up against a Toronto Raptors team?
Short-handed.
They didn't have any Pascal Siakam. A couple of their players, strong players, are missing.
You don't want to read too much into what happened last night because we know that the regular season is like an 80-game season. And we're still in November. So there's still a lot of basketball to be played. And I would suggest that my comment just now was more surrounding the quality of the Nets team and the potential that this team has to do well in the playoffs, because they are expected to go to the playoffs, regardless of where they are in the current standings. This team has the roster and the quality to get into the playoffs and go beyond that, to challenge for the championship.
And personally, I'm also happy to see Ben Simmons, putting up the numbers for his team and just being present on the court. Well, we're staying with the NBA, and at the TD Garden in Boston, in the match booked as the clash of the MVP candidates, Dallas Mavericks' Luka Doncic outscored Celtics' Jason Tatum 42-37, but he could not prevent them from losing 125-112. Let's check out these highlights.
Luka Doncic and the Dallas Mavericks facing a big road test, taking on Jason Tatum and the Celtics. The C's, the owner of the best record in the NBA, coming in. Tatum working hard. The tough lay-in good. Then Boston running. Marcus Smart, he gets inside. The hesitation Euro step for two more. And then Jaylen Brown. That's part of a 20-5 Boston run, taking control early. Second quarter. It's Tatum. Faces up. Three ball, yes. Celtics leading by 21 at the half. Third quarter, they're not done. Jaylen Brown, the crossover. No one's stopping him. And how about Tatum? Through the lane, then falling away from the basket. That's good. Shooter's roll. Boston up 91-65, but Luka leads Dallas back. Gets the ball back, scores, good. And then Doncic, the step back three. It's a 10-point game with 6 minutes to go. Luka, 42 points in the game. More from Luka. Finds Christian Wood for the slam plus the foul. Wood contributing 26 points, 12 rebounds. Celtics still with a double-digit lead, and they're running off the block. Jaylen Brown hits the three. He had 31 points. Jason Tatum poured in 37, and the Celtics keep it rolling, 125-112 over Dallas.
So Tatum had been listed as questionable with a sprained ankle, but declared after that missing the face-off with Dallas and Doncic was never in the question. This is what he had to say. I think as a competitor in matchups like these, against, other really good teams, against one of the other best players in the league, and you don't get to play them that often. To be honest, Dallas has gotten the best of us these last few years. On top of the fact that anytime I get a chance to play, I'll always try to lace them up. Sitting out is never really an option. So Lance, Jason Tatum was extremely hot last night against a Luka Doncic that was hot as well. But I have to say, Jason Tatum was hotter, so he sort of like out the fire on Luka.
Yeah, and I like his narrative just now, because it clearly shows that he has his stomach for a challenge, and even coming in with a sprained ankle, which had made him questionable going into the game, because that's what all of the previews had suggested, that he was questionable. So to not only play, but play dominantly, tells you that Jason Tatum has the heart of a real competitor, and it's tremendous that he was able to do what he did yesterday against one of the league's best players.
Right, and I'm going to take this up a notch a bit and ask you, I'm going out on a limb, do you think Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum right now are the best duo in the NBA?
The best duo?
Right now.
On current form, I guess I can't argue with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, on current form, the statistics would support that, yeah.
And if you had to pick an MVP candidate right now in the season, would it be Luka Doncic, who we saw extremely hot, 42 points, 8 rebounds, 9 assists, or are you going with Jason Tatum?
I like Doncic. There is the general feeling that he's unguardable at the moment. His season stats at 34 points per game is significantly better than anyone else. The closest to him at the moment is Steph Curry at 31.6, which in statistical terms is a pretty sizable chunk that Luka Doncic is ahead at 34 points per game. He's also in the top 4 in assists, so I like Doncic.
And based on what we're seeing right now, we expect both teams to go deep into, one to make it to the playoffs. That's the question.
Yeah, Dallas will have to improve one day because they didn't make the playoffs last time. But they are good enough to get there. Apart from the teams that I genuinely feel like the Warriors and the Nets, who are, for me, shoo-in for playoff positions, I would like to see a little bit more of this regular season before I put my neck out on the limb.
Yeah, and you're right, because picking up injuries is something that's always a concern when you have so much matches to play.
Yeah.
So Lance is playing safe, and he's in his right to do so because we know how the NBA works. These are the results from Wednesday. Okay, so we have the Hornets, the Cavaliers, the Timberwolves, Hawks, the Celtics and Heat, Nets, Bulls, Nuggets, Pelicans, Pistons and Warriors all picking up wins. On that note, let's take a quick break and we come back.
This segment was brought to you by Powerade. Pause for power with Powerade. Minute Maid. Real like you're at home. And Dasani. Connect mind and body.